Right from the beginning, my doctors had warned me that the desmoid tumor is a pest, hard to get rid of. If a single cell is left, the tumor will grow back. That's exactly what happened. My broken arm didn't knock me out of baseball. The tumor did. It kept coming back. On January 4, I went to the Sloan Kettering Hospital in New York City for a second operation. A new doctor, Murray Brennan, cut away the cancer and sewed some thin plastic tubes inside my arm. A week later, he put pellets of radioactive radium into those tubes. Radioactive material was right inside my arm where the tumor had been. It was supposed to kill any cancer cells that remained. My doctors expressed tremendous hope that they would get rid of the tumor, of my tumor this time. I took their word for it, but somehow, in the back of my mind, I wasn't so sure. My slogan stayed the same: prepare for the worst, hope for the best. As it turned out, that operation was the beginning of a long, dark year and a half. First, my arm wouldn't heal from the surgery. The scar stayed red and raw, and a little hole developed in it. Gradually, the hole grew bigger, so big you could put your finger inside my arm and tap the bone. My son Jonathan thought that was a neat trick. Because of that hole, I went back for another operation in May. This time, I was in the hospital for 12 days. The doctor took a muscle out of my back and wrapped it around the bone in my arm. While he was operating, however, the doctor made a troubling discovery. The tumor had come back again, and it was growing near my radial nerve, which is extremely important for controlling your hand. I'd noticed my hand feeling numb and tingling as if from an electric shock. Apparently, this was the reason. Dr. Brennan still felt optimistic. I started another type of radiation treatment. I got that treatment in Cleveland during July and August, driving to the hospital 5 days a week. When I finally got done with that treatment, I was sick of the hospital. For a whole year, I had been dragging my arm in and out of treatment, and I wanted to get on with my life. But just when I was feeling hopeful about my arm, I came down with a fever and the doctor slapped me in the hospital again. He said I had a staph infection in my arm and it was serious. I was really sick of being sick. I felt as if I'd been in a boxing ring with a lightweight punching me. And just about the time I was exhausted, they put me in a heavyweight. They put in a heavyweight. Every time I turned around, something new hit me in the face. Even after I got out of the hospital, I had nurses coming to my house twice a day to give me antibiotics through a tube. I felt sick to my stomach a lot of the time. The infection would get better, and then my fever would flare up. I'd start to feel nauseous, and the whole cycle would start again. The worst was this: my arm wasn't getting better. The hole wouldn't heal up. My fingers felt numb, and I could hardly move my arm. Deep down inside, I began to doubt that my arm was ever going to get well. In May of 1991, I went to New York for my regular 3-month exam. Dr. Brennan examined me solemnly, and then he looked at me. "I really do think it's time," he said. I knew instantly what he was talking about. It was time to cut off my arm. In a way, I was relieved to hear it. I wanted to go ahead with my life, and my arm had become a nuisance to me. It was, it just wasn't getting any better. So I wasn't shocked by what Dr. Brennan said. I simply replied, "Okay, when do you want to do it?" That's why I woke up one day in early June without a left arm or shoulder. I hadn't known for sure that I would lose the arm when I'd gone under the anesthesia. But when Dr. Brennan opened up my arm, he found the same old bad news. The tumor had come back for the third time. Dr. Brennan took my shoulder as well as my arm to make sure that the tumor would never return. When I woke up, Janice and my mom were at the foot of my bed looking at me full of love and concern. The doctors and nurses had worried that I might go into shock from the operation, but they soon saw I was fine. In fact, I felt better. During the 6 days I was in the hospital, I walked a mile a day. So many people had sent me flowers and candy, there wasn't room for them in my room. So I shared the wealth with other patients on the floor. We had a great time, almost a party. I had prayed that God would use Janice and me in a special way while we were at the hospital, and God answered that prayer. A lot of the other patients were much sicker than I ever had been. I was able to see beyond my own situation and respond to people around me who were hurting.